Today we're going to be talking about my attitude towards others determines their attitude toward me. This is absolutely true. So there are people out in the world who wonder why everyone else is a jerk, who wonder why everyone around them doesn't treat them nice, who wonder why when they walk into a place, it always seems so antagonistic. You know what I mean? They really don't grasp the fact that what they exude, the energy that they're passing out, the way that they talk, the way that their face looks, the way that the way they treat people and whatnot, it is exactly coloring everybody's response to them. For example, you say you go to lunch with someone and they seem like a nice person, and then they treat the waiter or the waitress or whatever like just garbage, like being like complaining and doesn't leave a tip and talking behind their back and making fun of whatever. You immediately alter how you perceive that person and how you're going to respond to that person, right? Oh, that person does that to people behind their back. Therefore, I will now change to respond to them in kind, because I'm not going to trust them with anything deep. I'm not going to show them any really crazy part of me, because they're going to mock me or they're going to do something behind my back or make fun of me or try or hurt my feelings like they just did to the waitress. It's anything similar to that, where you've got you walk up to the bank teller, right? And you're grumpy, and then they respond with, being grumpy back. And you're like, you're supposed to not be grumpy. I'm allowed to be grumpy with you, but you're not allowed to be grumpy with me. I'm the customer. That kind of stuff. And it works the other way too. That if you have a positive attitude, if you are encouraging, if you are make people feel special, they will turn around and they will do the same thing to you. They're very much, not that I didn't really think about that till now, but really that was really the heart of the pre-con. I went in there and I was super nervous, very nervous, very, very nervous. I was in full wallflower mode, and it was like I knew that they were nice, and I knew that they were going to be kind, and I knew that they had invited me there, and that everybody kind of they're not bad people. They're all cool Christian nerd people. But at the same time, I was really worried that I was going to go there and, say or do something or whatever. And I was exuding an attitude that was basically judgmental, right? They would look at me and I would be prejudging them. And it was unconscious, or it was conscious, or whatever. It was like basically me saying, you're scary. You're all scary. And so therefore I had to push past that and go, I'm going to engage with these people, and I'm going to be positive. I'm going to be encouraging. I'm not going to argue with them, regardless of whether or not they say something I kind of don't agree with or whatever. I'm just going to be thankful that I'm here, thankful I get to meet them, and be positive. And as the days wore on, like literally after day 3, all of a sudden I was having conversations with people. They were talking to me, and I didn't have to initiate the conversation. They were coming to find me, and it was people that I normally wouldn't have a conversation with, like really the cool kids. And we were able to have really deep, meaningful, personal conversations. I don't feel like I can drop names or anything, because it just doesn't seem right. But there were people that I'd never met before, never expected to meet before. In fact, I didn't follow them on Twitch. That I sat down and we had like a really deep heart to heart, and as I was sharing, they shared too, and as I was sharing, they shared too, and we went deep together. It was legitimately because my attitude was pushing out, I'm willing to be vulnerable, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt, I'm willing to be encouraging to you and to not argue and whatnot. That's exactly what I was getting back the whole time. Everybody, which is a lot easier because everybody was really super nice. Dude, imposter syndrome, I had it so bad. I'll tell you a story about imposter syndrome. Article podcast idea. Tell me how to do that. Imposter syndrome would cripple me in a situation. Dude, okay, so there I am. Imposter syndrome situation. I'm talking to Jono. Okay, so I name drop Jono because Jono's like a big part of this. Probably one of the most impressive guys I think I may have ever met in my whole life. The man is just a ball of energy, massively committed to what he's doing, super excellent at it, and his works crazy hard. He's an esports development program guy. Like, they give him like $1 million to go and find the best esports folks and give them scholarships to come to the school. And he's like built the best teams, high school and college age teams, that in the country, you know, like literally he's huge. He's super, super awesome dude. So I'm sitting there talking to him, and we're having these conversations, just kind of like normal old conversation. And he starts to kind of talk to me about what I do, and I talk to him about what he does. He grabs me and he's like, dude, I have an idea. And he goes and he calls up the president of his school, and he goes and grabs another guy who was a doctor. He wrote his dissertation on gaming, right? His name was Brad. And he pulled both of us into a room, and on the iPad was the president of his university. And I'm sitting there with this doctoral thesis smart guy who teaches a class at a university about gaming stuff, and Jono, this, you know, like super cool, awesome, successful esports gaming guy, and then on the iPad is like the president of a university and me. I'm like, why am I here? It's like, well, yeah, you put together a course and you teach people, and so therefore you should need to come and talk about making a digital missions undergrad in this university, so you can attract creators and streamers and people who want to be in missions digitally. And I'm like, yeah, I should totally be part of that conversation because I'm totally an expert in that. like literally imposter syndrome. Like, why am I here? It was so crazy to think that people that pulled me. And then it happened again. I got pulled into another conversation. The people that were in that talk were like big, smart, rich people, and then me. I'm like, man, what am I doing here? It's crazy, but yeah, it's pretty wild. Really, really wild. Just watched this episode with Mark in the MCMU podcast. He's a cool guy. He really is a cool guy. He is actually, you know what? It's cliche, but everybody I met that I'd actually bumped into, or sorry, everybody I met that I talked to that I'd also seen on stream is exactly like they are on stream. It's like, literally, I know that's cliche, but it's absolutely true. I'm the only one that's different. I'm the only hypocrite in the entire room. Like, Miss Positivity, super, super cool. Mama Llama, super cool. You know, like, Susie is the same. You think that's like he puts on an affectation for stream to be more hyper? He does not. That is what he is like. So like, it was super neat. Super neat. You're smart and talented. She yells at me. I appreciate that. Phone call. Attitude towards others. Had a conversation last night. I felt like I'd gotten an attitude towards someone I shouldn't have. Yeah, it's really the downside of passion. And again, we're back to our content, right? The downside of passion is that if someone scratches your area of that you don't like, or they disagree with you about something you feel passionate about, you can, instead of being thankful to have a conversation with that person, you can turn them, like we just talked about, into an enemy for no reason, right? You're wearing the red shirt, therefore you're against me. And that's the attitude you're going to get back. So let's keep going here. Luke 6:38 says, give it and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. They will pour into your lap, for by your standard of measure, it will be measured to you in return. This section here, what this is about, it's really about not just how you speak, but how you serve, and how your mercy, your grace, your forgiveness, your patience, your kindness, your generosity, your gentleness, you're willing to stand up for someone, you're willing to be courageous in the face of others for them. You're like, how you treat others, and this is, the golden rule, how you treat others is critically important, because it will feed back. God literally goes, and that's how I'm going to judge you too. You know what I mean? That's how I'm going to judge you too. How you judge others is how I'm going to judge you. How you're generous with others is how I'm going to be generous with you. How you give to others is how I'm going to give to you. How you forgive others is how I'm going to forgive you. It's God has made this entire universe that mirror reciprocal situation, in that how we treat His creation, which are an image of Him. We are made in His image. So therefore, how we are treating another human is how we are treating the image of God. The way that you would have respect for, if you were an idolater or you worship Zeus or whatever, and you walked into the temple and you saw the big temple, big carving of Zeus, how you treated that would show how much you respect that God, right? So if you walked over and you just like yelled at the statue and then kicked it in the shins and called it names or whatever like that, it would be like, man, you really hate Zeus. In the same way, how you treat other human beings shows how you feel towards God, what you understand about Him. It's directly reflective. This here speaks of the importance of understanding that your attitude and your actions towards everybody on earth is seen by God, and it actually alters, it measures, it changes how God relates to you, depending on how you're connecting to others. Generally speaking, people are mirrors. They will reflect the attitude of their leader. This is leadership development stuff, but we're not doing only leadership stuff. You can just say this generally. People are mirrors. They will reflect the attitude of the person standing in front of them, or the home in which they live, or the parents that they have, or the friend that they're hanging around, or the employees that they are working with. Everybody kind of falls into that lowest common denominator. No matter how hard you try, we're all affected by the people around us. I think of the riots that happen after a sports. I'm going to finish with that. You go to the sports and nobody goes there thinking they're going to flip out, burn down downtown city and turn over cop cars. Nobody goes thinking that. But you get enough people in the same area, get enough people that are upset, and then suddenly that group think kicks in, and people start giving themselves permission because of others to do horrible, stupid, dangerous, illegal stuff. It's just how it works. Other people will affect you. Sociologically speaking, there's a really famous sociology test with I think it's called if Hitler asked you to kill somebody, you would. I think that's what it's, something like that. And essentially it was, they had a setup of a wall, and behind that wall was a person, and on the other side was you and a doctor. And the doctor said, you hit the button and it'll give an electric shock, or it'll hurt that other person on the other side of the wall. And they said, okay, hit the button, and then from the other side they go, ah. Okay, they yell, and you're like, oh my goodness. Well, okay, we need you to hit the button again. You're gonna have to hit that button again. And then what they learned is that people will hit the button until they kill the person on the other side, because the authority above them, right? The person who they take the blame. I didn't do it. I didn't, it wasn't me. They told me to, kind of attitude. You wouldn't walk in there and think, I'm going to go kill somebody. I'm okay with that. But because of the influence and because of the area and because of the relationship, suddenly you're turned into a murderer, just by having to hit that button because of that person. That's what we do with others and how we relate to others and what we say to others is incredibly powerful. We all know that we all feel a sense of vulnerability, and we all have different areas of vulnerability. And that if someone says a thing about that, it just kind of, it bums us out. It takes us apart. We're sensitive about our haircut, or we're sensitive about our speech impediment, or we're sensitive about whatever. And if someone mentions it, we're like, oh man, I can't believe they saw that. That sucks. Or, maybe they just say something like, that's why you don't have any friends. And that really hurt you because that's something you believe about yourself. What we do and how we treat others is incredibly powerful. They didn't, no, Pops Racer, they didn't kill anybody. The other person was an actor. They were like, no, stop, please don't hit it again. It hurts so bad. And then it would go, and then they would, so it was an actor on the other side, but the people on the side of the wall thought they were killing people. They'll reflect the attitude of the leader. You must initiate the attitude you want in return. There's the secret. There's the rub. There's the whole thing we're talking about today. If you walk away with nothing else, walk away with this. Hello, lovable fluffball. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, phew, says Pops. Yeah, exactly. Insight class. Yeah, it's such a wild study. Like, it's crazy study, Samus. You must initiate the attitude you want in return. Period. That's it. What's the secret to having a great job interview? What's the secret to having a great date? What's the secret to having a great relationship with your parents? What's the secret to having a great, interconnected relationship with your church, with your pastor, with your friends, with your fellow employees? You initiate the attitude you want in return. You walk in and you're like, I'm going to be respectful. I'm going to be kind. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to be encouraging. Yo, thank you, my dude. Much appreciated, my man. That's a cool emote. I like that. You initiate the attitude you want in return, right? I'm going to be open. I'm going to be vulnerable. This is one of the secrets, and I don't know if Pastor Deucen's still here, but one of the secrets that you can use in ministry is that the first interaction that you have with a group will set the tone for how vulnerable and how open the group will be. So if you start a men's ministry, or you start a small group, or you start a recovery group or an addiction group or whatever, the first person to share needs to be the leader of the group or the facilitator of the group, and they will determine how deep that is going to go by how vulnerable they're going to be, right? So if they start with, hey, and they're talking about other people and theories, and they're like, how we're all like this, and like they never talk about themselves, they never get down and dirty about the grime that they've committed, they never talk about regrets that they've had, they just kind of keep it all general. Everybody in the group will keep it general. Nobody will go deep. Nobody will confess anything. Nobody will be able to or will feel the right or feel the permission to be able to get any further than an inch deep. Whereas if they walk in and the leader goes, okay, let me tell you my story, and goes like really becomes really vulnerable, risking, like this is what I'm going through and this is where I've been, and risking that if they mess it up or whatever, they can go tattle on them kind of thing. It's like a legit risk. You will set a precedent for the rest of the group to be just as vulnerable, right? So if you walk in guarded, and you walk in like, I'm just here to help, I'm not going to be telling anybody nothing, that's what you're going to get back. And you walk in, I want to be part of a positive work environment where people are encouraging. You walk in and you say, I'm going to be positive and encouraging. You get the attitude that you want back. Hey, Papa T. Leaders must understand this to get results. Jesus says, and just as you want people to treat you, treat them the same way. Yep, that's the golden rule. Researchers at a major university reported that a person's success on the job is 13% due to understanding the product, right? And 87% understanding the people. That is 1,000,000,000% true. This is why you can take somebody that's like the CEO of IBM and plug them in as CEO of a cookie making company. And you can take that cookie making company CEO and plug them in as the CEO of Tesla. You know what I mean? Like, you can do that because their skill set is not in the area of understanding Tesla or computers or cookies. It's in understanding people. So their skill set of being able to organize, inspire, arrange, criticize, whatever people is what qualifies them to be able to be that CEO or to be that whatever executive. That's just the way it is. Started as a farmer kid. Really? That's true? Oh, that's cool. So for you, if you spend your time worrying about the product and not the people, you'll be far less successful in whatever you are, right? So say you go to work and you're just really concerned about getting the project done. You're really concerned about doing your best job. You're telling everybody to get lost, get out of your face. You know, I got emails to check. I got things I got to do. You're consistently like worried about the job. What's going to end up happening is you will fail as an employee, and you'll be fired. You'll be not given raises. You will be not given, you know, advancement. You'll be ostracized and left off of teams and whatnot, not because you're not good at the job, but because you are not good at the people. However, if you are encouraging and positive and helpful and reasonable and connected to the people around you, but you're nominal at the job, you're just like okay at it, you will continue to progress in that position. You'll continue to they'll send you for training. They'll send you for be part of special groups. That you'll be the one that they'll send to represent the company places or whatever, because you have the right attitude towards the people. It's super critical. There are a lot of people, especially nerds, who will say, I know the stuff down cold, therefore I can be a jerk. I know I don't know if you ever played with DMs like this in Dungeons and Dragons, but you know, the DM that is like, I know everything there is to know about Dungeons and Dragons, and I don't care how anybody feels on the team. We're going to play this right. And then someone's like, oh, can we do this silly fun thing? No, and here's why. And then they just make it not fun. Whereas if you bump into a person who knows like 65% of the rules in D&D, but is worried more about everybody having fun and everybody feeling included and the adventure being something that people are enjoying, that DM is going to be far more successful. The other one will be mystified as to why everybody keeps leaving all the time. I know this backwards and forward. I know the game. I know exactly how to play it. I know all the rules. I know every single class. I know every single thing to do. I make amazing adventures, and you know, I find the best material. And the other person is making stuff up as they go. Like they're like, why don't they want to be on my team? It's because of the people, right? The rule of cool. DM must think of a way to make it happen. That's true. I like that rule. Funky Stick Man, after 20 years in IT, people skills get you farther than technical skills. Absolutely. That's everywhere. Literally everywhere. Right? It's if you're a streamer, right? You can be great at streaming technically, have all the bits and pieces working, and be good at the game and understand it completely. But if you don't connect to people in chat, and you don't connect to people on your esports team, and you don't connect to people in the, you know, I don't know, your sponsors or whatever, you will fail. You need to have the people skills. Otherwise, it'll never work. Polygon says, I heard something similar about hiring people. Too often we focus on capability, but instead we, at least for churches, should focus on call, chemistry, and then capabilities. Yeah. Like you said, you can train people with technical skills, but these people skills are much harder to teach. That's 1,000% true. 1,000% true. Like this is the way that it works in the Bible anyway, right? It's you find somebody with the right attitude, the right amount of faith, the right amount of humility, the right amount of dependence, and then God goes, yep, they're perfect. I will now make them able to do the job, right? As opposed to finding someone who has the wealth and the connections and the skills and the abilities and the looks, and God generally passes over those people because either their attitude sucks or they don't need God. And so it ends up not working in their behalf. So really, the universe is geared towards, if you are dependent, humble, kind, you will go a lot farther. And it doesn't sound like it will, right? It's like, then why are jerks always up in the upper echelons or whatever? It's because they treat the certain people that way. They navigate the relationships with the right people well, and then they treat others badly, but they're treating the right people properly. It's still personal. It just happens to be personal with the right people. I don't connect well with others. I have people skills. I'm just the odd duck. Dude, from one odd duck to another, I hear you, man. Sometimes it's a little harder. Ukulele says, I've worked with guys that think they just need to be really brilliant programmers and not worry about getting along with people. And they're still in the back room programming. 1000%. Funky Stickman said, I heard a pastor once say, God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. I don't know if that's always true, but it makes a good point. It's pretty much always true. I mean, it is always true. God always works to get the most glory for himself. That's how that works. Funky Stickman. He will always choose the option that gives him the most glory, which is why he will often choose the person that is least qualified, that is least likely to make it happen, but is willing to listen, or is someone who is willing to be dependent, and then he'll raise that person up. The only exception I can think of is really Paul. I'm trying to think of anybody else. Like, he called Saul, but he called that as King Saul, but he called King Saul as like a way to explain to Israel why that's not a good idea. Why king's not a good idea. But he, like, Saul was like Paul, who was Saul. That's confusing. He was already super brilliant. He was already super connected. He was already he was trained by the best people. He was part of the best group, one of the most popular guys. He was part of the secret police. He was number one dude in Jerusalem. And God changed his heart, and he used all of that ability for God. He actually, is funny because what you'll see in Paul's story is that he actually just like discounts all those skills, right? He's like, man, I was the coolest. I really was. I was like the Pharisee of Pharisees, and I had the best teachers, and I was more zealous than anybody else, and I could quote the Bible like nobody else, and I went as far as like killing Christians, man. Nobody could touch me when it came to how good of a Pharisee I was, and all the all the religious stuff that I did was perfect. I was great, and none of it mattered. Absolutely none of it mattered, because when I met Jesus and he looked at me, I realized that everything that I had been doing was utterly pointless. Like, it's like all the work that I had been doing and all the things that I'd been doing were actually the opposite of what I should have been doing. And it wasn't until Jesus got a hold of my heart that I was able to see that. I think if we try to apply it here, in a similar way, the people that like, I worked really hard at becoming great at the thing. I worked really hard and stepped on a bunch of people on the way. I was absolutely convinced that I was going to be this amazing thing, whether it be in ministry or otherwise. And then God got a hold of my heart, and I realized, I looked behind me and I'm like, I had ruined, I'd ruined my marriage, and I'd ruined my relationship with my kids, and I'd ruined my relationship with my friends, and everything was a wreck because I was trying to achieve success. If I would have been a better dad, been a better, community member, been a better church person, been a better friend, then I would be far more happy and far more successful than I am now. Just the way it is. No one does it like Saul. I get that reference. Okay. Wow, apparently I am still recovering. 4 important leadership steps with people. So 4 important just people steps with people. That's what we're going to call that. 4 important people steps with people. If you want other people to respect you, treat you kindly, to see you as important, to remember you, and to be part of, like to recognize that you want to maximize your relationship with them. How do you become better friends? How do you become better work people? How do you engage with this small group better? Like, what are 4 ways you can do that? Number 1, remember their name. That's such a huge one. And we all struggle with that, right? We all struggle with, I don't know, maybe you don't, but I know I certainly do. And it's not, and what's the reason that we don't remember people's names isn't because we're terrible at remembering people's names. It is because we haven't developed the habit of trying to remember their name, right? I'm terrible with names, therefore I'm terrible with names. Instead, it should be, I'm terrible with names, therefore I have a device, I have a trick that reminds me of what their name is, or because I know they're critically important. Maybe you're so anxious in the conversation, you're so worried about what you're going to say next, you're so worried about being cool, you're so worried about being seen as smart, that you like literally let that name pass right by. You don't even think about it. You do not care. If you take the moment to kind of go, okay, I'm going to remember their name, I'm going to remember their name, I'm going to remember their name, then you use it, and it means a lot. Like I was bumping into these people, and I was calling them by their usernames, right? During the conference, and they're like, call me my name, call me my name. And I'm like, okay, I will try. And it wasn't easy because I'm so used to calling them one thing. I had to like rearrange it in my brain. Now they have two names. If I accidentally mishear someone's name, I almost always remember the wrong name than the right one. Oh, I tell you what. So someone messaged me today for the first time. Is like, "Hi, Greg," and I'm like, "Well, at least you tried." That's really important. Like to jump into it and kind of go, I'm going to try. I'm going to throw a name out there and see what happens. It wasn't even close, but it really made me feel special that they wanted to call me by my name. Pretty cool. Number B. Recognize their potential. Nothing makes a person feel more unique, right? It was really cool. It was really, really cool. I learned to remember names by animals. What? Okay, that sounds interesting. Explain more. Recognize their potential. Nothing makes a person feel more unique. So, what does that mean? It basically means make other people feel special, right? If you see something to compliment it. If you see something that's going well, talk about it. If you see something that they've done, like they're wearing a cool shirt, or they have made something in their home, or their house looks really clean, or they just said something funny, or they just said something clever, point it out, right? Be like, dude, that was so funny. You are easily the coolest, whatever, or wow, you're really good at. If you compliment, right, really comes down to compliment. If you remember their name and then you give them a compliment, they will feel unique. They'll feel special. They'll feel seen. And they're going to return that to you. They're going to remember your name, and they're going to look for your potential. They're going to look for the things you're good at. They're going to look at they're going to try to repay that compliment by seeing the positive things in you. Everybody likes pooping on others, right? That's like the world is super good at making people feel crappy and pointing out the things they're doing wrong. And some people take it upon themselves to think that it's their job to make sure that they balance out all the positivity in the world by being critics. I promise you we have enough critics in the world. Okay? You don't need to be one. If you see something that's wrong with that, they know. Somebody knows. I promise they know. You don't need to point it out. Just let it go and find something positive. Be that person who is positive on Twitter and positive in the comment section, positive on Reddit, positive wherever. There's enough negativity in the world. If you show somebody that you think that they are unique and special, they will absolutely change their relationship with you, because everybody wants to feel that way. Request their help. This is a great little life hack for relationships. I remember hearing about one person who when they moved into a new neighborhood, they would immediately go and they would like borrow a very small thing from the people around them. Hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm new in the neighborhood. I wonder, can I borrow a cup of sugar? Right? And the reason they did that is because it opened the relationship by requesting help, and now the relationship was reciprocal, right? So that means when they would almost be obligated to meet again, and that person is gonna be like, okay, this is the person I gave sugar to. We have a common ground, and also that person's nice, and I wonder what they made. You have something to talk about. Like their little life hack was to go and just ask for a little thing from people that they wanted to get to know. Ask for their help. If you want someone to remember you and you want someone to feel like they are special, especially as a leader or a pastor or whatever, ask for their help. Sometimes we lean on people who we know are going to be able to do the job, and it's the same three people, right? We keep asking the same three people to do things. my encouragement to you is move past that. Find people that you don't know, people that have physical or mental handicaps or learning disabilities or you know, are new to the group or whatever, and find a way to include them by asking them for help, because they want to. Most people I know, literally, I think almost everybody I know wants to help. They want to be included. They feel weird being there, but they won't feel weird being there if they're the one that has to bring the donuts, or they're the one that has to set out the crayons, or they're the ones that has to, you know, whatever. Now they're part of it. They'll feel useful. They'll feel special. They'll feel like you respect them and that you need them, and they will reciprocate that back to you, right? The same thing. This is all about your attitude towards others, is be the one that they'll return to you. So they'll remember your name. They will look for your potential, and they will ask you for help. In other words, they'll include you in their projects. They'll include you in their life. This is doubly so for people who are willing to be vulnerable about their emotional stories and their issues. Because if you're willing to talk to that person and say, hey, I got a thing going on, what's your take on that? When they're going through a rough thing, you're going to come to mind. They're going to be like, hey, can we talk about the rough thing? Because I got one now too. Right? Not that you have to dump the truck on everyone, not that you have to like emotionally vent on every single human being you come to. It just means be mindful and be willing to open up yourself to be vulnerable in such a way that you can request help, even a little bit. And number D, reward their efforts. Nothing makes a person feel more valuable. If you can, go beyond acknowledging what they did. And this is the leadership thing. Obviously, this is far more leadership in that, you know, give them the bonus, give them a raise, give them a kudos, give them, you know, a plaque on the wall, give them something, give them a shout out to say they're cool. If you want people to feel special and you want people to care about you and you care about them, and you don't understand that relationship isn't just surface level, then do what you can to reward them. If you're a streamer, if you're a content creator, you don't have to send them money. You don't have to send them stuff, right? This could easily be just dropping their name in the Discord, dropping their name in stream about anything. Man, I really appreciate, you know, Sis Pineapple. She's been working really hard on making sure everybody feels so connected on the Discord. Man, she's so important to what we do here. That is a reward in and of itself. Cost nothing, right? It is, but it absolutely makes them feel valuable. And then when they think of you, right, they'll think of you as the person who got it, who understands them, who cares about them, who understands their value. Because at work, they don't feel valued, right? They work for somebody who does not see their potential. You know, they go to church and maybe they hide in the corner and they don't really know, they're not really known. And when they've spent a lot of time online, they don't feel like they're great at anything. But you looked at them and you said, you know what, you're really good at that thing. And I appreciate that in you. It will not only make their day, but they will latch onto that. Really, if you're the kind of person, and especially guys, and this is true of guys, I don't know about girls, but I know about guys. A lot of guys don't get a compliment ever, right? It's girls don't compliment them because they're worried that they'll think that every girl's coming on to them, so they never compliment the guy. And guys don't compliment guys because we don't know how to be friends with each other anymore. You know, it's like, man, if we're friends, we must be gay. You know, it's like, it's just, we've ruined friendship and we've ruined conversations between the sexes. It is just a wreck out there. And so therefore, a lot of guys, they never hear a compliment. Like ever. Like there are dudes, and this is truth. And you can ask, go find a guy and say like, when was the last time someone gave you a compliment? And they'll be like, I think somebody at the store said they liked my shirt a year ago. Like legit, that's what you'll hear. So if you take the time to, right, Don? Yeah. If you take the time to just be really generous with your compliments, really generous with your thanks, you know, really generous with your seeing people as valuable, it'll come back to you. They will appreciate you more. They will be more vulnerable with you. They will ask you for help and deepen the relationship, and they will see you as more important to them than others, because you have demonstrated that they're important to you. Right? Og says, I never get compliments besides streamers encouraging me. 5 years working at a church, never once got a compliment. Compliments is every guy in chat. It's so true. Every guy in chat. Yeah. What's a compliment? Yeah. Fortunately, I got one in all bold text just this stream from Samus, so I'm riding high right now. I got a full bold text compliment, all caps, baby. I've heard it takes 10 positive comments to offset one negative one. This explains why some people feel like they're never complimented, even though they do get them occasionally. That's very, very true. Very, very true. Or they get the same one compliment, right? And so that one, it ends up not counting, right? Like, you have nice hair, you have nice hair, you have nice hair, or wow, you have a really pretty smile. Wow, you have a really pretty smile. Wow, you have a really pretty smile. And it's like, dude, I am more than one thing. They don't want to say that. They'll never say that, right? They'll never say that. But if someone goes like, wow, you did such a good job on the thing that I just noticed and nobody else noticed, it speaks volumes. Yeah, a compliment's the thing you put on the hot dog. Yep. Yeah, I do love me some compliments. All right. I'll tell you what, we're going to jump into the discussion portion of our stream. So I'm going to just kind of quick pray, and then we're going to jump over to the chat. So if you got questions or you got something that you want to talk about, now's the time. God, thank you for being perfect at this. You show us value. You walk with us every step of the way. You knit your heart with ours. You speak to us in the still small places. You understand us, and you sacrifice for us. You were vulnerable with us. You are so perfect in how you relate to us. Help us to be that to others. There's so many people out there that just need us to be kind, and to be vulnerable, and to be open with them, and to be complimentary. This internet is such a negative place, so much darkness, and we are such a small voice in it. I pray that you'd help us to change lives simply by being people who are willing to exude positive energy. It's cliche, but God, there's not nearly enough of it. Thank you for doing that. And we can only do that. We can only love because you first loved us. We can only be positive because you changed our lives. We can only have a foundation in this world of strength because you are our foundation. We can only know truth because you gave us the truth. It's all because of you. In Jesus' name, amen.